All right, so we'll move on now to the forthcoming elections that will play out this weekend. And we've got two gentlemen here with us. Odiakwu Obire, member of the APC National Governorship Campaign Council in Bayelsa. That's for Bayelsa 2023. And then beside him, Anthony Hillebo, also is a member of the PDP. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for coming on today. Well, we hope that this weekend will be peaceful. That's what a lot of people expect. The IGP has been singing a song that they will be peaceful. The NSA himself has said this election will be peaceful. There will be no interference. Different governors, peace accords. But we also know that this will not be the first time we've heard promises, promissory notes, even from INEC themselves, in terms of what to expect for the elections that happened in recent history. But this time, many will expect that things might be a little different. What do you expect, first of all?
I think as a nation, we have come far in our electioneering process. And previous elections have taught us how to behave as politicians, and this allowed the security agencies...
How to behave or how not to behave?
How to behave as politicians, okay. And which has to do with peaceful election and making sure that even the followership also make the election environment safe for everyone. Then the security agencies, they also have their role to play. INEC have their role to play. And I believe that if everyone plays their role according to how it should be, then this election in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa will be peaceful.
Anthony, what do you expect?
Well, Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo. I'm unsure of what to say about the states because those are flashpoint states. In fact, the major reason for the drive for the amendment of the Electoral Act in 2022, if I recall, was inspired by the events of Kogi and Bayelsa 4 years ago, where we had incidents of violence. In Kogi, we had Mrs. Abu, who was burnt alive during and just immediately after the elections. And some of us sat back and specifically Atoya Rio died, blessed memory. And we had ongoing conversations on what led to the violence, what were the incidences that led to this violence in Kogi and Bayelsa. Now you add Imo to the mix. Imo already is a volatile state with what we've heard has been happening. And we decided to, in collaboration with other civil society, introduce mechanisms into the Electoral Act that would forestall such violence, which included the electronic transmission of results. That bettered that. Fast forward to 2023, there were a lot of promises that were made that the electronic transmission of results would curtail violence and inspire voter confidence. But we also have promises were made before 2023 elections. Were those promises kept? I have very grim premonitions, and I hope that they remain premonitions, they don't come true. Because the confidence, first of all, in the electoral system has, since the 2020 election, dwindled. I can tell you that we'll have, for instance, to my mind, low voter turnout, because there's no confidence in, first of all, the electoral umpire, because they say one thing and do another thing. The security architecture, which is supposed to protect people, has not been tested yet. So this is perhaps the first test within an election scenario of how, one, the IGP holds up the promise of civil protection, and all other ancillary contributory security apparatus that will help guide the elections. We do hope that there's peace. But the confidence of the people is at an all-time low at this point in time.
Have you been able to measure that?
I've seen a couple of polls. In fact, there's one that was in Daily Trust. I read just before coming, and although it predicted some winners, but looking at the details of the polls, there were a lot of people who were anxious. One, about the security that will be provided for the elections. Two, about the competence and fidelity of the electoral umpire. These are two major issues that the people are worried about. I'm an ordinary citizen. I'm from Edo State, which is a neighbor to Kogi State. I can tell you that there's palpitations, especially...
Where, in Edo State?
No. Well, we do have some... Okpila is very close to Kogi Central. And that is where you have a hotspot of violence, or expected hotspot of violence. So there is anticipatory fears that there might be violence, there might be... And since we all know this, we have a very high expectation of the security forces that they will provide adequate security for these areas.
Dr. Guber, there was a video that was in circulation about the deputy governorship candidate of your party in Bayelsa, making statements saying, well, they should hound the people, something like deal with them, they won't be the first people to die. Those kind of narratives. Did you see that? Did your party take note of it? Has it been spoken to? What's the thinking about that?
Well, I have not seen that video you're talking about. But you know, this is electionary period, and a lot of things happen. People can bring up issues that are not even link up to
No. It was him speaking.
Election.
He was speaking.
At a rally. Yeah. Let me be more specific. I wish you could play that video. But at a campaign rally at night, he was addressing the people, I think, saying something to the effect that this time around they're not going to keep the victory. They're going to ensure that they, hold the victory, and that if anybody tries to, they should pursue them. They should hound them. They should kill them.
Well, I think they are still taking his words probably in a different context, because
a different context.
Yes, a different context, because election process during campaigns, people make statements. There are some statements that are instigated by some certain actions from oppositions and all that. Probably what he's trying to say is that if the opposition are doing what is wrong, they should make sure that...
Kill them?
No. You shouldn't kill anybody during elections. What I'm saying is, probably he is saying that they should...
Well, you say you haven't seen that video.
They should make sure. So yes, I haven't seen the video.
So you cannot justify what it is that, you've not seen. He was speaking English. He wasn't speaking in his own or something. He was speaking in a language that we all can interpret. So if you haven't seen the video, maybe it's best you do not excuse it, because some people will say what he said was very, very clear, and there are no two meanings to kill them. Is there another meaning to kill somebody?
Yeah, but I really don't think he meant killing people.
Well, you cannot be talking to the ballot paper.
Well, I don't know, Tony.
Off the top of what he's just saying, it reminds me of a particular scenario that happened in Kano, where I think he's still back in the House of Rep now. He made threats that anybody that went against him in the election, he would kill them. My friend...
Who was that? Who made the threat?
He was former majority leader in the last assembly.
Alassane Dogowa.
Dogowa, right. My friend Oseyili Aneni, when we watched the video, he said he couldn't believe this was happening. You know what he did? He asked a lawyer to go to court using the evidence he had. And this went before Justice Binta Nyako. So when he came up to her, she said this was a novel case. She didn't know what to do with it. And someone had brought, based on his comments, Do you know what happened in 2023 election? People were killed in his constituency, burnt alive, as he said it would happen. And it happened. This is an APC member. But we cannot sit back and take threats of violence, lying aside and saying we've never heard about them.
You think the police should take action based on that video?
I think that it is preemptive and prevents violence to identify people who are violence-leaning or have made insightful statements or predetermined actions they were going to take based on an election. Since we now have precedents that someone says something before an election and it happens, remember, it was in this country someone said dogs and baboons will soak in blood. And what happened during that election? People were killed across the country. So statements may not necessarily even be the intent of the maker, but his followers might take that as an order or a call to action, however it is. And I think our security agencies must be proactive, must be preemptive. The protection of lives and property goes beyond an election. President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan said something that the life of any individual is not worth any political position. And we've said this several times. Kogi 4 years ago, everybody remembers Ratatata. Everybody remembers it. And that violence was the prevalent nature of that election. We've tried what we can as civil society. We'll come on TV and say all we can. We will fight to get the Electoral Act amended to prevent such things happening. But it is quite frustrating that you can see these things coming. I pray we don't have this conversation after these elections, that we all said this was going to happen. And it can be prevented because the security forces in Nigeria have shown capacity to be able to stall or stop such things before they happen. We must begin to take the average Nigerian life. One life means something to everybody. Families will be dejected, communities will be fallen if we don't do the needful. Because you have people who think power, and right now, the mentality of most Nigerians is that we must win this election at all costs. And I pray we don't get to that. Because the cumulative sequence of events that have led us to this mindset that you must win at all costs at the polls. Because, well, I mean, for my side of town, a lot of faith in post-election legal resolutions is down to an all-time low. So it is now, you must win at the ballot. And I fear that this mindset is a recipe for disaster. And I pray that Kogi, Bayelsa, Imo, which are already hotspots as they are, remain peaceful, and that our security agencies can come together and protect the lives of Nigeria. Let's leave the elections to one side. The life of Nigerians, very, very important.
You know, this fear about violence is not the first time we've had it. I mean, Edo was a scenario where people thought, you know, was going to be very hot, looking at, you know, the political calculations that had gone on just before the polls. And miraculously, it went very well. Anambra was also another situation where we had seen non-state actors, you know, basically hold the state to ransom. And a lot of incidences before the elections themselves, and people were even asking whether or not, you know, people were going to have the confidence to show up at the polls. And I think that Anambrarians surprised us, and they were still able to come out. Yes, voter turnout was not as high as would have been, but there are a number of factors for that. Some people will say, look, have we been able to really look at this voter register and say that we truly have 90 million, that's more than the population of some countries put together. 90 million registered voters. Have we been able to really scrutinize that? But, I mean, as you've said, in terms of violence and attitude towards elections, you know, a lot of attention really needs to be paid to that. I just want to ask you, Mr. Obiri, looking at the fact that the police themselves, the security agencies, have also been, what they call that now, they've also been victims, because only recently in Kogi, we saw how policemen, I think it was the police who issued a press statement to that effect, they were attacked. Some of them were killed. And people are wondering, hello, it's just elections. They're supposed to vote. It should not render families of policemen, you know, fatherless. It shouldn't render them motherless. Policemen should not have anxiety because they're going to go and keep security at elections. So how confident are you that in these polls, the police forces will be able to not just keep neutrality, but also maintain the peace as they've said they would?
You see, security is a very critical part of elections. And another thing we should also look at is the police are doing the best they can do.
I'm going to have to ask you to hold your thoughts. Okay, because we need to go to break. I'll let you answer that question when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. We've since been joined by Catch Ononuju, who is a special advisor to Peter Obi, of course, you know, that's Labour Party. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll be trying to preview the elections, Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo, in light of the security concerns that lots of people have raised, and then history. They say you know probably what to expect, but some also think that the comments coming through from the IGP, the NSA, INEC themselves probably might be what will stave off all or any intention whatsoever from troublemakers. Are you optimistic that this time, these elections will truly reflect the wishes of the people?
Thank you for that question. As I would say always, these rhetorics have always been there. For me, now that the country is going through a process of capture, rhetorics should not be relied upon. Rather, I think Nigerians should look to action. We've had those rhetorics before, but I believe the actions are what Nigerians should look to. Despite what anybody says, we know how very desperate those who thought they've captured our country are. You can see the issues in Kogi, where in anger, the governor actually the governor's people drove to Ayingba, and what happened? Where I got a phone call that 3 policemen are missing. By the time they got to Abuja, and I confirmed, they said they were killed. Who is this? The governor says somebody who used to work with him, who now is in SDP, has no right to run. Can you imagine such? And he felt so comfortable that he, after 8 years of his governorship, in a diverse state like Kogi, where you have the Igala, you have him, he's an Igbira man, and of course your Kun Yorubas, he still brings back his cousin. He's sensitive to the need for other people to get included. And this is the problem that we suffered in our party, the PDP, where after 8 years of those who brought Buhari, they still insisted they wouldn't allow us in. What happened? We got angry and we moved on, and they say the rest is history. So I believe people should learn to include other people, other Nigerians. What we are fighting for now is inclusion. Some people think they can capture our country. No matter the rhetorics they say, I will beg Nigerians, don't listen to their words, follow the action.
Do you expect any difference from Bayelsa and Imo?
Yes. In Bayelsa and Imo, I believe Bayelsa historically has been a one-party PDP state. But of course, the issue about state capture is the issues where we fear that those who have links to Abuja may still think they will go there, capture, write results, and the rest they say. In Imo, it's a very tricky one. Imo is one of the states where Buhari administration ran their sting operation called the unknown government. Now that Buhari has gone and the unknown government thing has died in the East, this will be the first election that we are having without the sting operation. I'm happy the other day, the IGP barred the Ibubago people, which were the remnants contributions from the state government to that. Let us not have this violent people with guns. Let's have a free Nigeria. Well, I think a country where those with guns, because they have access to people in Abuja, think they should own our country. Just look at the way everything's been weaponized, even against the law.
When you speak about Abuja, it suggests the ruling party, of which Dr. Obire is a member. You also did claim that you haven't seen that video. I think we do have that video now, so we might as well just play for you so you can see it and get your comment on this matter. Let's have a look.
On the 11th, don't talk with anybody. If anybody misbehaves for 2 plus, just have enter the scene making time. Another year, just are making time. After all, not be the other person will be the first person to die. So let's prepare and let's show them that this time around, what will take it? We are taking it for final, not court movement.
You've seen it now.
Yes, I have seen that video now. During campaigns, like I said earlier, a whole lot of issues comes up. And from that video, if you look at the passion with which he is speaking, probably he had some premonitions that some people are going to create violence, some people are going to perform election malpractices and all that. So what I can see from that video is that the party people, or those who wants to vote, even the electorate,
The party, the APC?
both APC, the electorate, they should make sure that such thing never happens. I think that's the in and out of
What thing?
that video.
What thing never happens?
The malpractices. People snatching ballot boxes, people going to
Are
create
you
violence
directly
and all that.
avoiding to condemn what he said about
No, what I'm saying,
inciting
listen,
violence?
it is not a good thing for violence to be part of our elections.
Which is what he's calling for.
We are not, no, he's not calling for violence. He is saying that if anybody create violence, if anybody attempt to disrupt the election, they should pursue that person. But the aspect of killing is what I
Just a
don't
second.
see.
Going by what Mr. Hilebo said the other time, Dr. Obire,
Yes.
You don't think this is a call for caution? He's speaking to his own people and literally giving them the marching order. That's what it sounds like, isn't it?
He is not speaking to APC, he's speaking to electorate.
No,
This is a
that
campaign.
crowd
Yes.
looks a lot more like
It's a campaign.
field officers. Campaigns are not done in the night, are they?
Campaigns can enter through the night. I've run election
That's
before.
a clear view. I mean, this is clear. But gentlemen, is that how you both see it?
I mean, this is typical, very, very typical.
Of what, political parties?
No, APC. APC is a violence-promoting party. I mean, I used to wonder, anytime you saw violence at rallies, at events, it was always the APC. It is the mindset. How do you watch a video where someone says, test them till they die? And the first thing, even if I was an APC member, would be to condemn it in totality. Election is not an event that should lead to death. It's an abnormality for anybody to die during elections. And here you are, you're on national TV, and the whole world can hear someone say, he mentioned die more than 5 times in watching that video. He kept repeating it. That was a marching order to kill people. And if we sit down here, I cannot believe the response that he gave when you asked that question. I'm sorry. I won't sit down here and say that what he said, I want to be as decent as possible. But my stomach is churning right now. That it would sound to anyone that that was normal. That is not normal. That does not preclude, that does not even indicate that this man is ready for an election. It indicates to me that all he's waiting for is vote. And of course, we have to remember the history of the individual speaking. This is a man that said that he escaped from prison. Yes, we have to remember the individual. So the witch cries at night. We pray the baby doesn't die, because we know who to hold.
I'm not surprised. It's just what I'm telling you. APC has a brand new politics. They control government, and they will violate our peace in order to keep power. No matter where it is, whether it is in Kogi, whether it is in Imo, or it is in Bayelsa. This is it. This is not different from what we saw in Lagos during the presidential election and the governorship. So this is where I'm telling you, forget their rhetorics. We are trying to build a movement for a new country. They don't think so. They think, as far as they have proximity to those who carry gun, they will kill us and nothing will happen. And this is where the problem is. This is not election. This is why we are saying these people are protagonists of state capture. They capture the state, and when you don't agree, they will seize the judiciary and weaponize the judiciary against the Constitution. We are in trouble. The APC is not a political party.
So, given what we have all heard, from rhetorics, as you said, what do you think should be done, given this evidence that you see?
I will tell you that these are desperate people spread all over the country. What makes me happy is if you check across the Sahel and our country, the people now driving for this new society are young people. And those young people have up to 80%.
I'm not talking about those ones, those young people there. I'm talking about this particular incident and the individual involved. What do you think should be done?
Well, what I think should be done is Nigerians should pray and come out to make sure this does not gain currency.
Don't forget, it's a call for action by security agencies?
Security agencies are already in their pockets. This is why they can do this, and nobody talks. Has anybody invited that man to caution him?
Do you agree with him, Mr. Hillebon?
I think that a clear case must be made. Since the swearing in of this government, particularly the head of government, I remember in 2007 when President Yar'Adua came in, and there were issues with the election. We need to get assurances. I want to rely on the fact that this is a man that's said to have fought the military and ensured that we have democracy and should be a bastion for democracy. That man that made that statement ought to have been invited, at least the State Security Service. I mean, I hear they keep inviting people. This is a job for them right now. This is where I expect them to live up to their name as people who will forestall violence. Because there's nothing in that video that tells me that this man is not prepared for violence. From his emotive statements, from the emotional courage, the persona he has, you can tell that this man is prepared for nothing other than violence.
Dr. Guber, do you think the security agencies should invite him, at least just to ask him questions, so as to forestall what Mr. Hillebon said the other time that happened in Kano?
You see, as APC party member, my views might be seen differently. Because, yes, we are still in that circle of what happened in the last elections. They still believe that the president didn't win the election. But that is already proven by the courts that, yes, Tinubu won the election. I told you a week before that election that we are going to win the election. And it's not because we were going to do anything outside the normal electioneering process, but because we have the confidence that, yes, the people will vote for us. Now, I have said it before in this program, that failure is an orphan, and we understand. So I can understand where their arguments are coming from. As regard to this video, the security agencies, they are for Nigerians. They are not for APC. Whether the DSS, whether the police, they are for Nigerians, right? They have the right to investigate. They have the right to invite anybody, whether APC, whether PDP, whether Labour Party, anybody at all. They have the right to invite such person. So if they find him wanting, yes, they should invite him for questioning. Let him explain properly what he meant by the statement he made.
Mr. Onono just said the other time that your party, and of course Mr. Hilebo also confirmed the same thing, that your party is known for violence. How do you respond to them?
APC is not known for violence. For more than 16 years, PDP held sway of the government. There were violence. 16 years straight, there were violence in our elections. It wasn't APC as at that time. But when you are in the seat of power, your party becomes the violent
If I could just chip in on that one. You are in the National Campaign Council for Bayelsa State, where the candidate is campaigning.
Yes.
Has the council called him to question?
Well, like I told you, I'm just seeing that video today. I have not seen this video before.
It means the council doesn't even know about this.
I am just seeing this video now. So I cannot tell you that, okay, this is the position of the council concerning this video.
Should the council call him?
Yes, if need be.
If need be?
Yes.
So even after seeing this, you don't think there's need yet?
I said, if need be, they will call him.
Well, I think that, you know, it's, I don't want to say it's convenient, but underlying all of this, as right now, yes, it is convenient for the PDP to point hands and say, yes, APC is violent. You know, Labour Party too will say APC is violent. And yes, APC, you also have a duty to ensure. I mean, if you are campaigning to do better, it should not be that you keep pointing to the 16 years of the PDP. But underneath all of this, because this morning while we're reviewing the papers, you have the KUKA, the National Peace Committee, you know, which has been doing a lot of work around peace and ensuring that we do not have violence after elections. We saw how they intervened in the 2015 elections, and since that time, they're taking it upon themselves. You have eminent people like former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar. You have Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop KUKA, you know, who keep going from state to state whenever it is at the elections to go and continue to preach the message of peace and even make the political actors in those states sign peace accords. I think that the words of the current, former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, you know, on the recent signing in Kogi State was quite instructive. I'm going to just read what the dailies said he said. Looking at the front page of, which one of the papers is it this morning? I'm trying to quickly remember which one of the papers it is. That said that the attitudes of politicians are not changing. Their attitudes towards election and the sincerity towards peace is very questionable. So across board, would we say that this is about our political class? And the fact that they say one thing and they do another thing, the fact that they will go ahead and sign peace accords and shake hands, but at the same time, we know that they have empowered thugs and, you know, and also given them weapons to, you know, be able to carry out violence. So what will it take to actually begin to change the minds of the political class towards this do or die attitude towards elections? Let me go with you, Tony.
You know, like I said, after Kogi and Bayelsa 4 years ago, this is the point of frustration right now. We thought about interventions that would prevent. Okay, so there were questions that were asked. What points do violence come in during elections? How do we take away the incentive for violence? How do we make it less attractive and fruitful, if you say? The introduction of electronic transmission of results, we discovered that it's at ballot point transfer from perhaps the voting polling units to the wards where they do the collation. And you find that most of the tampering with results happened in between, or if they want to stop you, they'll go to where you have huge votes, disrupt it, destroy the ballot boxes. And so we said, okay, transmit the results from the polling units. And I'm going a practical solution that we thought would work. And we insisted that results must be transmitted so that by the time the elections are done, you don't have an incentive for violence anymore because we already have copies of the result. What did we see in 2023? In fact, we fought the party that made sure electronic transmission of results was almost removed was Ahmed Lawan, APC, and co in the National Assembly. It was a huge battle to get them to put it back in the electoral and had Mr. President sign it. What did we see in 2023? We got promises that this will forestall violence. In fact, when we came on, so we talked about the Kogi and Bayelsa elections, how it inspired us to get that electoral act signed and everything. We got to election. INEC promised us that that would be the norm. What did we see? That didn't happen. We went to court. In fact, if you hear most of the things that were said in court, the electronic transmission was literally thrown out. That would have been a solution. So today, my major fear is that everybody knows that you have to go for guns in this election. If you don't win, there's nothing that will happen in the courts. So we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to become ingenious to take away the incentive for violence. It's either we create a way where people can vote without, one, endangering their lives. Because you may go to vote, and at that polling center, we remember that in the last election in Kogi, you had an incident of a police helicopter shooting at people trying to vote. It happened. It happened in Kogi. We have the videos.
Yeah, we have the videos.
So we have to say... Is it really correct, Tony, and you're a lawyer, is it really correct to say that nothing is happening in the courts? Because we've seen cases where, winners have lost their seats, rightly or wrongly. I mean, you can always, depending on which side you support. I mean, we've seen seats being lost in Plateau. We've seen seats being lost, at least at the tribunal level in Nasarawa. We do not know what's going to happen at the Court of Appeal. We've seen there have been some judgments that have upset, what has happened with the winners in certain situations. So is it really correct to say nothing is happening in the courts or that the courts will not? Is that a correct statement?
You see, when there's a maxim that says justice must be seen to be done, right? What do the active voting population take away from the collective action of both the electoral umpire, the legal system, and the policing system? And when I say policing system, it includes all the other security agencies. When they derive their conclusions that they will not get the right results of a cumulative set of actions, which include reforms, what do you think they will do?
Because I noticed that you have been saying electronic transmission.
Because it was.
What was in the Electoral Act, or what is in the Electoral Act, is transmission. It doesn't say anything about electronic. It is the guidelines of INEC that speaks to electronic transmission.
Now, we're now saying this, right? The from the Supreme Court, it has become clear that perhaps we need to go and rework. Remember, after 2015, the smart card reader, there were cases that went to court, and the court said the smart card reader was not domiciled in the Electoral Act. That for any new innovation, it needed to go into the Electoral Act. Perhaps in framing, in the little work that was done by civil society, some of us, that was done in updating the Electoral Act, we didn't think as far as what, and most of these symposiums to work on the Electoral Act, we had judges there. In fact, there were a couple of judges that sat in on the modifications for the Electoral Act, and some of the inputs they gave was that if this electronic transmission was included in the Electoral Act, it was a done deal. Only for us to hear that when the judgment was being read, it was said that the electronic transmission was not a mandatory requirement. So perhaps we need to go back to the drawing board.
Electronic transmission is not a part of the Electoral Act.
No, it is.
Electronic is not there.
No, electronic transmission of results. In fact,
this will take us another 20 minutes if we're to go this route, but we need to wipe down.
The answer is very simple. For us to make it better, remove that need to kill during that period of trying to collect. Force a clear understanding of it must be transmitted electronically from the voting part. Because once you transmit it electronically from the voting position, you remove that need for violence.
That's what we thought.
All right, so as you wind down with your closing thoughts, gentlemen, starting with you, Dr. Kach. Look, we know Peter Obi spoke a couple of days ago, and there's been several responses. Even some of his supporters think, why would he pigeonhole us and say we are now opposition? What does opposition do? It's not just a criticize statement from a ruling party, so some are not even happy with that. But with these elections now, maybe add that to your closing thoughts.
I will tell you what he did is what the statesman will do. Because you need to calm. And that's what I said last year when some people were getting angry. I said, yes, we can see the youth movement, which has been started since 3 years ago. Peter will be a correct person to make sure it doesn't spill over and get uncontrollable. So he's still doing that job. He will play the nice guy. But Peter will not control the streets. I tell you that. If the government does things that will force the street to implode, that's not Peter's own. But Peter will continue to play his role as a responsible patriot to ask for calm.
Are they calm, really?
Well, hungry Nigerians are not calm. Hungry people don't get calm. When people are very, very frustrated, they don't get calm. This is what it is. But Peter will not stop being the hand that douses the flame.
So for these coming elections, you think Labour has lost its oomph? They don't have that push anymore.
Always will do.
They'll be a stroll in the park.
Well, no. Labour has not Labour. The obedient movement has not lost its steam.
So what is obedient movement and what is Labour?
What we have are three things. We have P2B, we have Labour Party, we have the obedient movement. The obedient movement is the collection of youths who since 3 years have been seeking a better Nigeria. P2B is that Nigerian that I, together with, got angry, left the PDP, but then the Labour Party was the platform we borrowed. If we still leave it tomorrow and go elsewhere, the youth will come with us.
That's why borrowed Labour Party?
Oh, yes, we did. we borrowed the platform.
Will Labour be happy with you?
Give, well, whether you're happy or not, a lot of us who are obedient, you know, are not members of Labour Party. Don't forget that. So you must understand the Labour Party is a party that has existed for long. The obedient movement is a brand new movement. P2B is a Nigerian that the youth trust. So don't remove that.
What does this mean for PDP?
You know, what it means for PDP is very simple.
Why don't you let PDP answer?
Don't forget that we are still PDP. We are PDP people. Don't forget this.
Labour Party is PDP?
Hear me. A lot of the people you see in the obedient movement are members of the PDP. You know that.
Wow. You know
this is news.
Oh, yeah, that is a fact.
You know,
a lot of the obedience are PDP members. The obedient movement is a movement of consciousness It's not bounded by political party. People from different parties are members of the Obedient movement.
So they can move to APC tomorrow?
No, they will still continue to be those people you call obedient. But
they can decide to use the APC tomorrow.
They can use any platform of any person they trust. And right now, the person they trust is the person they've employed to be the face of their masquerade. That person is His Excellency Peter Obi.
You think if I speak again, it won't be to PDP? you know, when he came in, he said, he referred, I don't know, I realized.
We are still the Nigerians.
No, you referred to our party, he said PDP. So, no, but on a more serious note, I do hope and pray that we don't have incidents of violence, we don't have electoral rigging by delay of materials coming into the polling units on time. We want to see more. There's loss of confidence in the electoral umpire, generally. We will not want to take, like he said, their words. But we do hope that they begin to re-inspire confidence because we have one country. I'm happy that there's no violence because whatever happens, my biggest fear was us losing this democratic journey. Nigeria's future has been truncated by the number of times our democratic journeys have been stopped. But this time around, we want it done properly. Supreme Court has decided, so we have a president. We hope that he takes it upon himself to deepen our democratic ethos and ideals, and of course, practices. That's for me.
Well, Chamberlain, I think it's high time PDP, Labour Party, and the rest that participated in the last election to accept the reality that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu remains Nigerian president as it is, and give him the support that he needs, because your candidate don't need to be president before Nigeria can be better. If they all run for that office because they want a better Nigeria. So they can bring their ideas. They can team up with the present government and move Nigeria to the next level. And also, I want Nigerians to trust the process. They should trust the security.
Process that Labour Party.
They should trust the process. They should trust. Listen, if we don't have confidence, in our process, then it is not proper. As Nigerians, we must trust our security. We must trust the INEC. We must trust the government and support.
Some people say trust is not tissue paper to be purchased off the shelves. So it has to be earned. And, you know, it is very interesting that this is basically the situation we have in the country today. Two opposition, I mean, on a good day, if you're doing democracy, two will be greater than one, right? And if you're doing, so you have two people in opposition and you're just one person. If we were to conduct a vote here, they most likely would win.
Except that 3 umpires.
They most likely will win. So this is the scenario. People have said this is the scenario in the National Assembly. The fact that all of the parties in opposition, if you add them together, they're more than the party that is currently ruling. And this largely tells you that the APC, as a political party, has a lot of work to do, because there's plenty of discontent.
We are ready to do the work. And we need everybody's
The question is
support.
whether, you know, you are also showing that stance that you really want to do. I mean, when you look at, for instance, the names that have recently been mentioned for the resident electoral commissioners, the people that have recently been appointed into that particular position, and people have been asking, and there's been no word from the president, no word from the National Assembly in terms of the complaints.
We have a listening president.
And people have been talking about shrinking civic space. If you go to, for instance, if you go to Imo, you go to Kogi, you go to, people have been saying, look, we're not even seeing the campaign posters of other political parties. It's something to be worried about. You don't think so? So do you really think that your party understands that, you know, democracy, to foster the atmosphere of democracy, it's going to be more rhetoric. The rule of law must not be audio, according to one of our. It must be seen and be heard to be done.
I don't think there's any evidence to show that other parties are putting posters and APC are removing them.
No, that's not what they have alleged. What they have alleged is that the state government has made it very difficult for them to be able to get these advertorial spaces. We even heard at some point that the state government, publish circulars to hotels, mandating them to, not give out any spaces in their hotels until the elections were over. These are you aware of that?
You see, these are private businesses, right? And it is first come, first serve. Now, if you talk about public places, no, you cannot say that, because this same scent of Mr. Peter Obi, we also have it on record when he was governor. He stopped opposition from using a public place. So we cannot say this is basically APC issue or PDP issue or whatever. This is politics. But the issue is what I will not support is violence.
Is this the kind of politics we should continue? The politics where we're not able to create a level playing field for all political actors.
It cut across board. It's not just one party. Go to PDP control states.
That's what I'm saying.
APC will need somewhere, they will not approve it.
So that's what I'm saying.
So we should stop it.
Is it something that we should continue?
No, we should stop it. We should stop it. We are all running for this. We are running this race for a better country.
How do we begin to stop it if we're not able to condemn statements like what we've seen? Deputy governorship candidate of your party.
It's difficult to condemn.
He has not, till now, he has not condemned.
How do we begin to stop it?
I told you about.
I want you to condemn that statement.
And you did say you didn't
even
see it.
I didn't see it.
But you have seen it.
But I've seen it this morning.
You didn't condemn it.
I have seen it.
For the sake of peace in Bayelsa, condemn that statement.
Listen to me. I have seen.
Do you want to own it or you want to condemn it?
I have seen.
I want to believe that there are only 3 anchors on this. We have 5 now. But yes, will you condemn that statement now that you have seen it?
Yes, I have seen it. The issue of killing, I cannot support that. But I cannot totally condemn that statement because people, that's PDP control state. Don't forget this. It's PDP control state. And they have all the machineries to do anything negative about the election process.
You do not trust your police?
To maintain the peace?
Exactly.
You don't trust INEC
do you see
to do the right thing?
Or Labour Party people threatening that same violence? Let's just flip the table.
For the sake
of
Bayelsa State,
I am not following Labour Party campaigns or PDP campaigns. I'm focused with.
If you are in the campaign
APC.
council, you should follow the campaigns because that's what it. You have to be listening in and seeing what we're saying.
I'm focused with APC campaign trail.
Okay, and you didn't see that video.
I have not seen it. I just saw it this morning. I said I cannot totally condemn that statement.
APC.
Didn't see that.
Okay. So what about, gentlemen? Can we see those slides, those pictures of those gentlemen that were made resident electoral commissioners by the Senate? Some of them are members of your party. So if you couldn't categorically condemn the video of the APC deputy governorship candidate, what about this?
We have a listening president. We have a listening president. If Nigerians cries out that, oh, they notice something, that this is wrong, certainly he has over time taking steps to correct any wrong. So, if it is...
Okay, maybe we should listen to this a little bit. Maybe you hear this, just in case you haven't heard this one too.
Thank you. From today, have you accepted that Akwa Ibom State should become APC and all things are passed away? If you say so, collect the broom, wave to the crowd here and tell them that they are in safe hands. You are a technocrat of the highest order. They take a more model. You didn't pass secretary to second. APC!
You've heard this?
I heard it.
So now the next image you see is a man who was confirmed as a resident electoral commissioner by the Senate. So is this right?
No, it's not.
It's capture.
No, it's not right.
Justice.
Because party, resident electoral commissioners are not supposed to be partisan. So, like I said, we have a listening president. Nigerians have cried out severally, and he has listened to them.
Listen to what? These people have been confirmed.
But Mr. Hillebo, it's not just APC. There's another man there who was also a member of the PDP.
Okay.
Who was wearing an attire.
Dr. Ono.
He's PDP. Is that right?
Are we the one that recommended?
Yes, it is.
But he's a member of the PDP.
It's the APC that recommended.
Because the man has now followed Wike into the APC. Wike sent his name. You're very correct.
So should PDP speak about it?
So does that make it right?
Yes.
No, you condemn it.
We have condemned it.
We condemn
PDP
it.
I condemn it as a PDP member.
Those things.
Even if it was a PDP president, I will still condemn it.
Yeah, but there are questions as to what exactly, PDP senators on the floor of the National Assembly were doing on the day. There was not so much as a whimper of a nay when the Senate President raised the question.
Don't forget, when you're talking about PDP, PDP is a party in a process. And that's why you can't see most of them to muzzle up that courage to say things. Don't forget that.
On the floor of the National Assembly.
They are senators. What process are they going
most PDP leaders are so frightened of speaking up. Didn't you see the governors?
What about
going even to go and pray?
What about Labour Party? What about members of Labour Party or senators?
I will not sit down in this
What I'm telling you, when you saw PDP governors going to the president to start talking about thanking him,
does that just a minute, Minister, does that demonstrate the responsibility of the members of the National Assembly from doing what they believe to be right or opposing what they believe to be wrong?
No, they should oppose what they think is wrong.
I
condemn it.
Just a minute. Has your party called to question members of the Labour Party on the floor of the House when this event was going on?
Yes, we tried to reach out to them, to talk to them, to do the right thing. But of course, Nigerians, just like you had the issues about the vehicles.
Your candidate did not totally condemn.
Oh, yes, what my candidate said is that the vehicles are not gifts to the people. They are tools given for that office that is voted for by the people. So since they need that vehicle, hear me now, this is his word, so let me not get over. He does not like it. You know very well if Peter Obi were president, nobody will bring such things. Nobody will bring such bills to him. Nobody will even bring a 5 billion naira request for a yacht.
Let's take the issue. Let's remain with the issue Marco raised about the fact that your members were on the floor of the House when this confirmation was going on, and they didn't as much as whimper. Hitherto, they would probably have staged a walkout. That didn't happen, did it?
Well, we would not know what they did because they will only do a thing when they are given the permission by the Senate leadership to speak.
They need to be given permission to walk out if they don't like what's going on?
Well, this is a very good suggestion. We should include walkouts in things they can do when they're not allowed to speak.
I don't think I'm going to go on national TV and like APC, not condemn action. That doesn't make sense. And this is a call to members of the PDP in the National Assembly that we expect a lot more from them. Look, we are not, and it's unfortunate that we sort of elect the wrong people to go to these places to speak for the people. Because if you are speaking for the people, it's an egregious act. And my friend is saying that we should give the president some people that have been confirmed. How are you going to go and reverse that now? No, like Kat said,
they can withdraw it.
Withdraw something that has been confirmed in the Senate by the Senate.
The president can make a statement saying, "Well, if this was a mistake, I have to correct this."
You have to go back to the Senate. You have to get the third majority of the Senate to remove those people.
That is possible.
Well, I don't know how possible that will be, and I don't know for people who plan state capture. Like Kat said, if that is an act that they want to.
No. If members of the PDP and Labour Party will be on the same page saying, okay, well, this name should not be there. Why wouldn't the president...
That is why I'm using this medium to call out to the Senate, members of the Senate and members of the House of Rep, if they have such powers, but I think this is a Senate purview, to our senators in the PDP, who owe a duty to Nigerians, that moving forward, they should stay on the side of Nigerians, because that is what will get us elected or re-elected in the future. They must stay on point with the Nigerian people, allowing members of the APC to become...
And the PDP.
Look, that man is not a PDP member. We all know that he is not a PDP. If he was a PDP, he would never have been appointed.
At all.
He would never confirm him. He was put there.
So the current governor of Rivers State is not a PDP man?
Okay. Governor of Rivers State recommended
is a PDP man.
Have you not seen,
have moved on to the APC?
Have you not seen what has been happening in Rivers recently?
No, I asked a very simple question. Is the governor of Rivers State considered a member of the PDP?
Is he considered a member of the PDP? Very recently, yes, very recently, we fully considered him when the SIM card was not activating the phone anymore. But, like I say, we must stand and condemn things that are inimical to our growth as a country, or our democratic development. And here's an opportunity to call out our senators and tell them that we as members of the party are not happy that this happened. I'm getting a wallop here in your studio because people didn't do what they ought to do. And it makes it hard to defend the stand of the party, that it is for the Nigerian people. So they shouldn't make our jobs more difficult if they don't do the right thing. And we're asking them, we're not in support. We members of the PDP are not in support of them not speaking up.
Okay, Dr. Koch, are you telling us that you don't know that, or that Mr. P2P doesn't know that those vehicles will be their personal vehicles? In fact, it will be used for personal purposes.
No, they're not personal purpose. Mr. P2P condemns the acquisition of 160 million naira vehicles for anybody during this time when Nigerians are suffering. But he says that those are equipment for work. And that's why, since we have not yet planned to find alternatives for them to use, let them use that which is being given to them to work with. But he condemns it.
I don't understand that.
What is wrong is wrong. You're not supposed to be spending 160 million buying vehicles for people who were elected to go and speak for the people. You cannot be speaking for hungry people at the grassroots, and you are living a bourgeois lifestyle of driving a car of 160 million. Look, we have to get to a point where we even look at our own party and tell them, look, they're not acting right. Look at our senators, look at our House of Rep members, and tell them it doesn't make sense to any Nigerian who is struggling at this point to buy petrol at 640 naira, 650 naira, for someone who was elected to go and...
So, official purposes or not, he should just...
I don't even think that this... For you to have even gone into this place, you already have a car.
The vehicles are not being given to those people. The vehicles are being given to the constituency officers. Listen, the vehicles are being given to the constituency officers.
Who is going to drive the vehicles? Is it the constituents?
The vehicles would be used. Now, this is why I understand.
It is very wrong for us at this time,
yes,
for our senators, our honorable members, excuse me,
no. APC. Listen, he also seeks a better country.
This is just that he's not about APC or whatever. It is very wrong, right?
So you can't blame him.
We have vehicles that are being assembled in Nigeria. We have manufacturing vehicles, companies in Nigeria. We should patronize our product. And charity begins at home. If we must revive the economy, if we must make sure that things goes better and give our naira value, we must continue to look inward. Locally produced products.
Has this engagement happened with the APC?
Yes.
Within the APC and yourself?
No, the APC doesn't believe in that.
Allow him to answer.
Of course, I have my opinions as a Nigerian.
Do you think the party should take your senators up on this?
Yes, of course.
No, it's not just the party.
Listen, I'm a Nigerian.
It's a question of whether this is the policy of the government in power. Exactly. Because what the senators have even said is that, oh, this is, you're only seeing us. Nobody is talking about the ministers. Nobody is talking about all the other MDAs that have purchased vehicles so far. So it's an overarching, it ought to be an overarching policy. Has there been a conversation or a policy direction from the president who ought to be given these instructions?
So patronize made in Nigeria.
Patronize made in Nigeria.
They didn't buy yacht for president. Oh. See, it's as a concerned citizen, right? We have a lot going in this country. This is not the time for luxury. If the senators, if ministers, if governors, if commissioners, local government chairmen, if they actually want a better Nigeria and make our Naira stronger, we should concentrate on locally produced products. I don't see why a senator will say, oh, Nigerian roads are bad. That is why we opted for Toyota. Why can't we fix the roads and let every Nigerian drive whatever they can afford on those roads?
Gentlemen, the question Malcolm asked. Just 1 second. That's not the question Malcolm asked. I remember the Gowon government at some point made it a rule. Locally assembled vehicles for government officials across board. Is that something that the APC is looking at? That the government of the day is looking at?
No.
All right.
No, you can't say that. Because
I say that through the actions. The APC doesn't believe in Nigeria.
All right, gentlemen, let's go on to this one. Nigeria. Well, at the moment, you understand that members of the NLC and TUC mobilized for a protest at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to enforce their directive to members working in the aviation sector to stop all flights to Owerri, the Imo State capital. Now, members of the union did file out, as we see in the video here, in a convoy, and they have been heading to the airport for a while now. The protest, they say, is part of a series of actions that the two labor unions say they will zero in on Imo State following the attacks on NLC President Joe Ajero. Now, the NLC and TUC, as you may recall, had on Tuesday declared a nationwide strike, which commenced on Tuesday, November 14th. They also, and that's also because of the face-off with the Imo State government. Dr. Kash, do you think this will have an impact on the elections?
It should have been started long before now. Yet, it's good that the NLC has woken up. And don't forget, at the very beginning, at the inception of this APC's game, the labor union were in bed with them. So labor only woke up when Mr. Waba left and Ajero came in. APC felt offended. Why would you suddenly wake up when we've been eating with us?
APC in the state.
APC nationwide said, why would you labor wake up when you've been dining with us? But Mr. Waba is different from Mr. Ajero. I support what Joe Ajero is doing. I believe Joe Ajero is on the right track, no matter what you say. And he has good reasons for coming to Owerri. Salaries weren't paid. Why should he be brutalized? Why should he be beaten that way? If you kill him, what will happen? So Labour have to react. And I'm not surprised that they have started this way, but I don't know how far that will go.
Now, if you hear that, what my friend from Labour Party is saying is actually saying that the Labour Party is another force. The Nigeria Labour Congress is another force that should truncate activities. It doesn't make sense. Now you're stopping people from traveling, the airlines, from going to a destination, forgetting that people have planned their activities. Two, there are businesses that you are shutting down and revenues are being lost. but you don't see it as a problem. You only look at how it affects the NLC president of what happened in Owerri.
How about what has been happening to NLC members who are workers within Imo State that have not gotten their salaries?
Exactly.
Well, I don't think the governor has said he has not paid salaries to anybody.
Does he have to say it?
No. I heard there was a video. I saw him saying that he's not owing any civil servant. That any civil servants who think that he's being owed should come out and speak. So what is Ajero actually looking for? Now, there's an election in 2 days. You are doing this. Your party, the Labour Party, is also running for this election. You are truncating things because of your personal interest. He's partisan. He is partisan. Because of your personal interest, you are truncating people's businesses. You don't care about...
How do you substantiate what is personal here?
Yes, because he's partisan.
How?
He's a Labour Party person. He's partisan.
So Ayuba Owatu was partisan? Or Labour Union is partisan?
Well, until this 2023 elections, Labour Party, Nigeria Labour Congress was standing on their own. But right now, they are partisan.
I think to sum this up, the man was violently beaten. And I want to refer back to my point that APC is a violent party.
Very violent.
But there's a point here. What about the violence that have been, like Ayo said, has been happening to other people? Is it now that it has just happened to the Labour president that action is going to be taken? Civil disobedience, my dear brother.
So the violence that are happening in PDP control
sorry,
states,
can I make my point? Civil disobedience is actually part of our democratic experience. Civil disobedience is allowed. And if they decide that that is the action they are going to take because their member or their head,
their president
was attacked, all well and good. But my own take is this. What about ordinary Nigerians? What about civil servants in Imo State? Like he said the governor said anybody that hasn't been paid should come out. It's not about talking now. It's when after talking, what happens? You think somebody who is working for the state government will want to lose his job because he spoke that he has not been paid? So if he hasn't been paid, or if he hasn't paid workers, then I think that's something that he must carry on his head.
All right, gentlemen, we have to anchor at this point. Catching on to do special advisor to Peter Obi, Dr. Odiakwu Obire, member, APC National Governorship Campaign Council for Bayelsa 2023, and Anthony Hileba, member of the PDP. Thank you all for coming on today. We will be back in a moment, and then we'll take a look at some of your comments. Don't go away.